Valentino Rossi prepares for battle. The 30-year-old Italian could clinch his 9th world title in the next hour and 15 minutes.
Pit lane will open in 20 seconds. You'll see most riders rush to get out there. So they've got as much time as possible to make any changes that may be necessary.
No messing about. Rossi's out there as quickly as he can. As soon as that pit lane opens, he's going to be out there on the track. He's going to have the weight just at the head of the queue.
He's not the only one, though.
No, they're all coming.
I don't think, if I remember rightly, they can also do more than one sighting lap if they're out early.
Yeah,
they've got a 5-minute window.
So I'm not sure, though, in the 15-minute start procedure, because obviously they've got a bit less time this time, because the race is at 15:35. So, yeah, but you're right. Normally they have 5 minutes pit lane is open for, and they can go out and come back in and do it again. I think to remember Shinya Nakano doing that once before, coming in, and they have a problem with Lorenzo.
They certainly do.
This won't help him.
That was the clutch, wasn't it? He was pulling in and out. Was it the clutch lever?
It just wouldn't start, would it?
No.
Just dumping the clutch.
No such problems for Danny Pedrosa. And there is problems for Jorge Lorenzo. This is desperate, desperate times for Lorenzo. Trails Rossi by 38 points in the championship. The last thing he wants is a problem now. He wants to get out there on the track and just see how those conditions are. Lorenzo still there in pit lane. Looking at the telemetry now, aren't they? Looking at the mapping.
Look at him, he's really not happy with it. Ramon Falcone just said, just wait. Let the technicians, let the guys with the computers, let them just sort things out. There goes Nicky Hayden, he leaves. He's got 5 minutes to exit the pit lane, I'd have thought. The rain's still coming down by the looks of things, if not got a bit heavier.
It's just alternating between stopped and light rain, to be honest.
Right, that's okay then. There's Valentino Rossi down towards turn 9. Here's where we said it can be quite treacherous in this area. Let's have a look here. It just looks slick, doesn't it?
It does look very, very slick.
But they did change the asphalt there, because there was a problem with the water seeping back through.
Still
he's gone on to the second bike as Jorge Lorenzo now. So lucky that they had that one set up for the wet, unlike Tech 3 Yamaha.
That is a perfect example of why you have to do that, but still there seems to be some problems.
Well, maybe just having to switch the engine mapping settings.
Dear
60,000 fans here today.
Wow.
That's a massive crowd for Malaysia.
That's well over double any crowd we've ever had here before for a motorcycle Grand Prix. Certain of that.
I think we might have got 30-some thousand last year, but nonetheless, still a huge crowd.
These are important laps for these riders, and Jorge Lorenzo's missing out. He's now going out of pit lane, but on his second machine.
I thought it wouldn't matter so much if they're both set up for the wet.
Well, the problem is they've not really had that much time to set the bikes up for the wet. They may have taken a calculated risk of getting one bike 100% right and leaving the other bike just partially set up.
Yeah, could well be. That's probably what they're having to do there, just change the mappings, making sure it had all the wet settings. They're probably a bit worried after what happened to Edwards back in Japan.
Well, Valentino Rossi's into pit lane, he's gone out
as well.
Let's have a look then, let's watch Rossi.
He's just ridden straight through, he's just going to take another sighting lap.
Yeah.
Same with James Toseland.
Why not? Has anyone joined up for the grid yet?
No, Colin Edwards is through. Loris Capirossi is on the grid. Andrea Dovizioso down pit lane to do a second sighting lap.
That's good. They just want to get some heat in the tyres, they want to get a feel for it as well, don't they?
Yeah, Tony Elias is on the grid. Randy Depunier is on the grid. Who else have we got?
Casey Stoner's on the grid. He's just making his way through now.
Casey Stoner's on the grid. The two Premac Ducatis are here. Danny Pedrosa's on the grid.
I just wonder if they were all aware they could have come in and maybe gone round. They have 5 minutes at the pit lane exit to come round and do another lap.
Well, the grid is forming up, as you can see, but some riders, led by Valentino Rossi, followed by James Toseland, are having another lap to test out the conditions, and they are quite entitled to do just that. Here's Rossi. Still very, very wet out there. I think that's turn 9 again.
This is down into turn. Now this is where There was problems a couple of years ago
Yeah,
in there.
turn 5, yeah.
That was turn 5, but it looks okay through there actually. Doesn't look too bad at all. It looks very wet out there, it really does. But this will dry up fairly quickly if there's not too much rain. Just because of the temperatures out here. It's always humid though, and that means it does take a bit longer for the water to evaporate because of the humidity in the air.
And also certain parts of the track will dry out quicker than others, and then that's when it's very, very difficult to make the decision.
Really interesting to watch, just him adjusting his clutch as well as he's going around. He's making his own adjustments to the bike. Jorge Lorenzo, pit lane exit closes in about 6 seconds, so he won't be able to come round into pit lane.
Just one lap for Jorge Lorenzo. He's out on his second machine. There was a problem when he tried to leave the pits. They couldn't start the bike, his first machine. He's out on his second bike. The one great thing about wet weather is those clear visors. Look at those eyes, concentrating so hard.
I'm down here on the grid now with Loris
Oh,
Capirossi.
Lorenzo, he's coming into the pits actually, is Lorenzo, and pit lane exit is closed.
Just down here with Loris Capirossi. Loris, fantastic qualifying, but conditions now, it must be something of the lottery this afternoon.
Yeah, well, the condition is so strange because we're working really hard all session with good dry track, and just 5 minutes before the rain it starts to rain. This is for sure is terrible, but anyway, we will see and we try to do the best.
Good luck this afternoon.
Okay. Lorenzo's come in.
He's in the pits.
Right, I'll go down and find out what's going on there then.
He's obviously got a problem with the bike of some sort. He's come into the pits, but the pit lane exit is closed. He's going to have to join up from the back of the grid because he won't have joined on the grid. He'll start the warm-up lap from pit lane, but he won't be able to take his original spot, will he?
What a disaster for Jorge Lorenzo. The first bike wouldn't start. He's out on the second bike. He's back in pit lane. And does that mean he starts from the back of the grid?
As far as I know, the last time this happened was with Shinya Nakano on the Kawasaki. He left pit lane for the warm-up lap and had to start from the back of the grid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you don't join up with the grid in time, then you're sent to the back of the grid.
Jerry Burgess has a quick word with Valentino Rossi. These are vital discussions. Team look very much in command. Not like poor old Jorge Lorenzo, who is having major problems down in pit lane.
Well, anything can happen in this race, and especially in the wet, starting from the back. It's a huge disadvantage, but there's worse. I understand that the King of Malaysia is here as well. And he was supposed to join up with the grid. That's a massive... He's never been to any Formula One. He's never been to any event like this before. And he was supposed to be here, but I wonder if he'd be out in the rain.
Yeah.
Well, I can confirm, I've just spoken to the IRTA officials on pit lane. Jorge Lorenzo will have to start the Malaysian Grand Prix from the back of the grid.
Whoa. Dear, oh dear, it really could not get a lot worse, could it?
A great roar for the Malaysian national anthem as well. That's fantastic, and that is His Majesty Tuanku Mizan Zainal Abidin. I hope I did that justice. King of Malaysia. Fantastic news for MotoGP that he's come down to witness MotoGP.
That's Carmelo Espeleta, the CEO of Dorna Sports, of course the rights holders to MotoGP, accompanying him onto the grid. There'll be a space on that front row. Jorge Lorenzo's going to start from the back of the grid. Loris Capirossi has got a free run in, hasn't he, from the second row of the grid, because there's going to be a big gap. That is a disaster for Lorenzo. Okay, you say you don't know what's going to happen, but it just sets him so wrong. Wonder if they told Valentino Rossi. I would think they have. Rossi looking very confident. His confidence, I was think, soaring by the minute. He knows that Jorge Lorenzo, the only man that could overtake him in the World Championship, though he's 38 points behind, has to start from the back row of the grid. The rain still comes down. That will not displease the riders and the teams because the track will remain wet. The last thing probably they want it to happen now is it to start to dry out, and then they have to start make decisions about coming in and changing bikes.
There was Mazal Furuzawa just looking a bit disconcerted about these conditions. Danny Pedrosa lines up in third then on the outside of the front row. We know Lorenzo on the inside, no doubt he'll make a lightning start as ever. Third in the last 3 races, number 3 rider, number 3 on the grid. It's almost like Colin Edwards with his penchant for finishing in 5th.
The second row of the grid will be Casey Stoner, Loris Capirossi and Tony Elias. Here is Casey Stoner, of course, the winner in Australia, the only man to have won 125, 250 and MotoGP races here.
And I can tell you now that Jorge Lorenzo is off the bike and he's sat in the pit box at the moment. Whether that indicates anything other than he's getting out of the rain, I don't know, but I can confirm he's not very happy about this situation, as you could probably imagine.
I wonder if he knew that when he came in, if he was thinking, oh, we're going to have time just to swap bikes or something. I wonder if it was something, because all the team must have gone onto the grid. So there wasn't anyone waiting for him, really. Well, it's poor old Jorge Lorenzo. Not had any luck, has he?
No, he's had a miserable 7 days, hasn't he? Crashing out in Australia.
And for people who watched that, it was a mistake. He admits it was a mistake, but the bad luck for Lorenzo came that his front brake actually pretty much exploded, didn't it? When he could just touch Nicky Hayden's back wheel.
5 minutes to go before the start of the penultimate round of the MotoGP World Championship here at Sepang in Malaysia. It's still raining. The track is wet. It will be declared a wet race. And Jorge Lorenzo, the only challenger to Valentino Rossi's World Championship crown, will have to start from the back of the grid. Here we go. This is going to confirm exactly what we've been telling you. There you go. If you want confirmation, there it is. And there is the man in question.
And that all came about because of the problem they had with his #1 machine. He will have to start the warm-up lap from pit lane, and then he will join up at the back of the grid in 18th spot. Just has a good look at his bike, and, well, I say when it rains it pours, and in terms of the luck that Lorenzo's having, it's hit him again.
So where's the challenge going to come for Rossi? Obviously from Casey Stoner. Is there somebody who's going to cause a surprise? Loris Capirossi in these conditions has almost got a front row start, hasn't he, with the gridded clear in front of him with no Jorge Lorenzo. So don't rule him out. Winner here in the 250s and MotoGP. How he'd love to put that Suzuki on the podium. I think, as Gav was saying earlier, it would be his 100th podium finish.
Right, the front row,
Hey.
pretty bleak. There's Danny Pedrosa on one side. Earl Hayden just leaves the grid. His son is in 7th position on the grid. No spot for Jorge Lorenzo. He's in pit lane. He's going to have to start the race from the back of the grid. And in pole position, it's Valentino Rossi. We'll be racing in 3 minutes' time.
And I have to say, Gav, the Fiat Yamaha team, or at least Jorge Lorenzo's team, the majority of them weren't on the grid to accept Jorge as he came round to line up on the front row. I think it's a possibility that they've come in thinking they can make adjustments and they've just been caught out.
Front row, Valentino Rossi, no Jorge Lorenzo. He starts in the back row, and Danny Pedrosa.
Casey Stoner, Loris Capirossi and Tony Elias line up on row 2. Capirossi's got a great run down towards that first corner now.
Row 3, Nicky Hayden, Randy De Punier and Colin Edwards.
On the 4th row, Alex De Angelis, Andrea Dovizioso and Mika Kallio. Watch out for Dovizioso, the winner of the wet race in Donington.
Row 5, Alicia Spargaro, Chris Vermeulen, the wet weather expert, and Marco Melandri.
On the back row, James Thosen and Gabor Talmashi will probably be quite thankful for these conditions. It gives them a bit more of a fighting chance. Valentino Rossi knows a top 4 finish will guarantee him his 7th MotoGP crown and his 9th world title overall as they go off on their warm-up lap. Well, it's strange conditions here in Malaysia. I don't remember them ever having raced in the rain here in Malaysia. Nearly 60,000 fans have packed in. Look at turn 1. Look at the fans in that stand as well. Brilliant turnout.
It was 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, Valentino Rossi made his Grand Prix debut at the old Shah Alam circuit in Malaysia.
Well, it was 10 years in a day that he won the 250 title, wasn't it, in Rio de Janeiro, 1999. He made his debut here in 1996. It was actually the beginning of the season then.
Yeah, Shah Alam rather than the circuit here, the old circuit in the centre of Kuala Lumpur. Wow, 13, what a 13 years that has been. And he's chasing his 9th world title here in Sepang. Still pretty wet, isn't it, around turn 5.
There's a lot of spray being kicked up as well. They'll be pushing quite hard on this warm-up lap again. just to get some feeling for the conditions. Obviously not too hard as to go down, but just to work out where the really wet areas are. Here's Colin Edwards.
Yeah, we ride with Colin Edwards. I think this is
His turns 7 and 8.
That's it, then it's just going to come up the rise and dip down towards turn 9, which is the hairpin, the slowest bend on the circuit. There's Christian Newland, look out for him, and Valentino Rossi in behind Christian Newland. And too badly just following him round, because Christian Newland has won an only Grand Prix victory coming in the rain at Le Mans in France. And that temperature dropped dramatically, 25 degrees centigrade, 77 degrees Fahrenheit now.
Yeah, considering it was about 10 degrees centigrade more, nearly 100 Fahrenheit in practice, just shows what the rain has done, really cooled down the atmosphere. But it will be hot out on track, I can tell you. And once they get going and the sun maybe peaks out again, they'll rise once more. Yeah, it's going to be a very intriguing Malaysian Grand Prix, this one. Down into turn 14 they go. Then it's down the back straight on board with Dani Pedrosa.
But the 6th gear, be down for the gearbox any moment now. And they're braking a little bit earlier than he would have been in the dry.
SK Stoner's wife, Adriana, in the middle. And here is Stoner coming into that final corner. Okay, they'll be pushing hard just to get the feel. And there's Mazal Furuzawa. And we see the championship go to Valentino Rossi today. Here's how the championship stands. Jorge Lorenzo will have to, unfortunately though, join up at the back of the grid.
There he is. Well, there's Valentino Rossi now at the front end of the grid. He set the fastest ever lap by a motorcycle around the Sepang circuit in qualifying in very, very different conditions yesterday. So Rossi and Pedrosa on that front row. There's a gap in the middle. Lorenzo has to start from the back. Look out for Loris Capirossi. Here is Jorge Lorenzo. Even a good start was probably not going to put him anywhere near the front. 21 laps of the Sepang circuit. The penultimate round of the MotoGP World Championship. We're underway.
And it didn't look like for once a great start for Dani Pedrosa. It was Loris Capirossi who seemed to get away better than the Spaniard, but now Pedrosa gets through the gears and he's going to lead into turn 1. Is he, or will it be Rossi? No, it's going to be Rossi around the outside. A shocking start as well for Stoner. Stoner drops.
And Rossi runs it a little bit wide.
He runs it very wide
indeed. Capirossi's gone through. We can also see Pedrosa's gone through, and Rossi is now back in the pack.
And it's Stoner actually who's come through the pack. It's Pedrosa winning, then it's Capirossi second, Elias third, and then I'd say it's the two Ducatis, Stoner and Hayden, as Rossi drops right down the order. And that was all from running it a bit too deep into turn 1, a bit too fierce in there, and he's down in 8th position. It's Pedrosa from it's Capirossi, Elias, Stoner, Hayden, Dovizioso, De Punier, then it's Rossi, Melandri, Callio, Lorenzo in 11th.
Down into turn 5, this is probably where the circuit is at its wettest. Big mistake there by Valentino Rossi. The day he wants to win the world title, retain the world title. He's in the spray, he's in the pack.
And he's right in front of Jorge Lorenzo.
In front of, yeah.
Lorenzo will try and make a move now on his teammate, and he does. Lorenzo goes through and pushes past Valentino Rossi up into 9th position. How many times have we said that in their racing careers? It's Pedrosa from Stoner.
Stoner up into 2nd place. I think Stoner senses perhaps this is the chance to go to
moment for Elias, and Dovizioso goes through about 3 people there. De Punier really pushes hard on Nicky Hayden in that corner, and Rossi loses another spot to Marco Melandri.
There is Nicky Hayden. In front of Nicky Hayden is Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo is flying at the moment. Tucks in behind Nicky Hayden. It's a good start by him. Casey Stoner leads the way from Dani Pedrosa.
Yeah, Hayden just in front of Lorenzo. He really got pushed wide, wasn't it, by De Punier. So Pedrosa leads from Stoner leads now, sorry, from Pedrosa in 2nd place. In 3rd spot is Andrea Dovizioso, who went so well in Donington. Then it's Elias, then it's Capirossi in 5th spot now. Behind him, De Punier, who went so well in Donington. Nicky Hayden in 7th spot. Lorenzo, Melandri, Rossi in 10th. Callio 11th, Vermeulen 12th.
Down into turn 15 for the first time. There's Andrea Dovizioso, who is absolutely flying in 3rd place. Randy De Punier trying to ride round the outside. Loris Capirossi is there, but Casey Stoner leads the way through the spray.
Probably the best place to be, isn't it, on the first lap? Don't want the spray coming up in your face, and it's Stoner from Pedrosa. Bigger gap back to Dovizioso. Then it's Elias who crossed the line in 4th position. Just in behind him, Randy Pugnier, Loris Capirossi, Nicky Hayden. There's Valentino Rossi back in front of Melandri, but Melandri takes him on the inside at turn 1. The back cars, they turn around for turn 2. He stays behind Melandri.
Valentino Rossi is not happy.
It doesn't. He would still win the World Championship if it was like this.
But Lorenzo is pulling his way up through the field. Who knows what's going to happen? But Rossi certainly is not happy in these conditions as it stands at the moment. Pedrosa in 2nd place. Andrea Dovizioso, Tony Elias, Loris Capirossi, Nicky Hayden, Lorenzo, and Valentino Rossi has got past Marco Melandri once again. Has run it wide again. Melandri's got past him again. Randy de Pugner's down.
Pugner's down and doesn't look in good shape. He's hurt himself as well. And the doctor just comes out and puts the bales down, and down goes Randy de Pugner. Oh, very nasty crash. Very, very fast through there. That was horrible, horrible crash for de Pugner. Turn 6, that looked like.
Up to their walls, the hairpin they come. Casey Stoner is opening up a big, big advantage at the front. Danny Pedrosa in 2nd place. Andrea Dovizioso looking strong in 3rd. Tony Elias, Loris Capirossi, Nicky Hayden, Jorge Lorenzo. Melandri's got back in front of Valentino Rossi.
Well, running wide there was Alex De Angelis. He's in 11th spot now. Tamashi 12th, Vermeulen 13th, Edwards 14th, Espargaro 15th, and Tosland 16th and last.
Well, will it dry out? Is it going to stay exactly as wet as it is?
This is the big question, isn't it?
It is a big question. Ian, just very quickly, weather-wise, it's still raining?
Yeah, we've got light rain here in pit lane, but the sky, we're starting to see blue sky again, breaking through the clouds here.
Marco Melandri went briefly through on Jorge Lorenzo, but Lorenzo reclaims that spot. They're fighting for 7th at the moment. At the front is still Stoner, 3 seconds clear of Danny Pedrosa now. He's getting into the groove, isn't he, Casey Stoner? It's Pedrosa in 2nd, Dovizioso in 3rd, but Elias has closed down on Dovizioso.
Marco Melandri right behind Jorge Lorenzo, Rossi in turn behind him. Stoner's to set the fastest lap of the race. That's no great surprise, is it? And it's Kallio behind Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, Kallio was pressurising Rossi there as well. He's closed right in on the world champion. Here comes Rossi on the inside of Melandri one more time, but remember he's run it wide a couple of times in this corner. This time he manages to take the inside line from Marco Melandri. Any chance of Melandri getting back through into turn 2? He thinks about it, doesn't he? But not this time. So Rossi moves up a position into 8th place now.
Valentino Rossi in 8th place, 7th place in front of him, Jorge Lorenzo. That would be enough to give him the World Championship. Stoner, Pedrosa, good ride by Tony Elias, Loris Capirossi, Nicky Hayden, Lorenzo, and then Rossi. Melandri tucked in behind them.
Dovizioso in 3rd as well, behind Danny Pedrosa. So Stoner is 4.4 seconds clear of Danny Pedrosa at this moment in time, but as we saw in Donington, as we've seen in previous episodes of MotoGP, when it's raining, anything can happen at any stage.
This is Danny Pedrosa, got a good record here, 125 and 250cc winner, 2nd here in MotoGP as well. There's nothing he can do about Casey Stoner at the moment. A little stream of water as they come up into turn 9.
And if there's something that will please Stoner, it'll be these conditions in terms of the heat as well.
Yeah.
It was the only question mark. It wasn't about necessarily Casey Stoner's illness. It was about, well, he hasn't been able to train, has he, for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months now, Casey Stoner. So just felt that even though his stamina has been there in the last 2 races, these really hard, oppressive conditions could have been tough in the dry. With the temperatures having dropped about 10 degrees Celsius from practice, it's been much more agreeable.
So the battle, yeah, would you believe, for 7th and 8th place between Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi. They're usually battling it out at the front, aren't they? Rossi led the race into turn 1, but then ran it very wide indeed.
On board with Casey Stoner then, coming down towards the final corner, turn 15. Gets in there nicely. And he'll bring it out. He's certainly feeling his way through. Look at the skies over his shoulders as well. There's breaks in the clouds as well. There's drizzle falling, but he crosses the line now, a 2:16.183 from him. Is anyone going to be able to get near that lap time? Nicky Hayden might be one of those. He's got through on Loris Capirossi, up into 5th position, Hayden now. He's in the 2:18s, as is both Lorenzo and Rossi.
Loris Capirossi, though, outbreaks him into turn 1, retakes the position. Can he make it stick, Loris Capirossi? He does. That's the battle. 65 is Rossi, 69 is Hayden. Capirossi now back in 5th place.
Just behind them, we can see Lorenzo and Rossi closing in on Nicky Hayden now. So if Hayden wants to make some progress, he has to get in front of Capirossi, because if he falls behind Lorenzo and Rossi, he could be dropped.
Good ride by Tony Elias in 4th place. Still got Dovizioso in his sights. Equally good ride by Andrea Dovizioso, but Stoner's gone up the front. He has absolutely cleared off. There is Lorenzo now beginning to close a little bit on Nicky Hayden. Lorenzo 7th, Hayden in 6th place.
Hayden looks quick to me. It's just Loris Capirossi fought back under braking there. And Hayden has been going so much better, hasn't he, in the wet conditions. In the last few times we've been in the wet. He thought about it again, going through on Capirossi. There's Valentino Rossi in 8th spot, and Mika Kallio battling for 10th with Alex De Angelis.
Mr. Angelis that made a mistake on the first lap, I think, wasn't it, and dropped him back.
Gap between Stoner and Pedrosa nearly 7 seconds now, and we're just on the 4th lap of 21.
That would be enough. Rossi would be crowned the 2009 MotoGP World Champion. But the results remain the same. But
would you ever think he's going to be World Champion with an 8th place finish?
No, he certainly would. But I bet he's thinking about it now.
I bet he is. I bet he'd take it with both hands. Hayden goes through on Capirossi. Lorenzo was also attacking, but Nicky Hayden has got past the Italian. Lorenzo's going to try and go through that round, turn 13. Titans for 14. And Lorenzo on a charge, having started from the back of the grid. This is great riding from Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, he just want to give up that World Championship challenge without a really big fight, as we know. 6th gear, then down for the gearbox. There's Tony Elias.
On board with Capirossi, just looking at Rossi behind, but no way through for Rossi on this occasion. He'll close right up on the brakes, though. Now on board with Rossi, looking at Capirossi ahead. Stoner's just done a 2:15.7, everyone else 2:17s. Pedrosa and Dovizioso behind. Then Elias in 3rd and 2:18s. Hayden did a 2:19 that lap, but got through on Capirossi.
Here comes Rossi up the inside of Loris Capirossi as he got through on the brakes. Yes, he has into turn 1. Can he make it stick? I think he can. So Rossi is just keeping Lorenzo in his sights all the time. That's all he's got to do, really, isn't it, to win the world title?
Stoner's gap to Pedrosa now stands at 8 seconds. It's levelling out just a little bit.
That's probably due to Stoner rather than anybody else.
I think now they've sort of probably
reached.
Oh,
Lorenzo's flying. He's got up the inside of Nicky Hayden and gone through at turn 4.
They've probably sort of reached that level now. They'll all start bunching. Their lap times will be very similar. You have to make progress on another rider. Look at Hayden right round the outside of Lorenzo. How there's fights in Nicky Hayden still. Don't you doubt it. And round he comes on the outside of Lorenzo. But Lorenzo will be back, snapping at his heels.
Yes, it's through turn 6. There's Nicky Hayden, Lorenzo. Rossi just watches, safely down in 7th place. Just see what the outcome of this particular battle is. The only disaster really for Rossi would now be a crash, isn't it? He surely is going to win this world title. We ride. But not with Lorenzo, he's got past Nicky Hayden once again up at turn 9. This time I think he's made it stick with Nicky Hayden. Fighting very, very hard indeed on the Ducati. This is the battle for 5th place.
And he's going to try again, Hayden, isn't he? He's going to go through, probably run it a little bit wide on exit of turn 11, but he's holding it in there. And Hayden is going to hang on. Brilliant stuff from Nicky Hayden. Not wanting to give an ounce to Jorge Lorenzo.
Wet conditions, as you could see, but still these MotoGP machines putting on a great show. Rossi now closing up on Lorenzo. Rossi 7th, Lorenzo 6th, and Nicky Hayden in 5th place.
And the good news is Randy De Punier is back in the pit box after that crash. A little bit woozy, but otherwise uninjured.
That's good news. On board now with Casey Stoner as he comes down, he's come across the line, and he's extended his lead on that last lap. Pedrosa just comes across. Yes, he has. Another second he's taken out of Pedrosa there. 8.7 seconds.
Casey Stoner, the winner of the Australian Grand Prix, of course, just 7 days ago at Phillip Island. Missed those 3 races, but he has been in unbelievable form since then.
Lorenzo's got through on Hayden again, going down into turn 1. Hayden's going to try and attack one more time, though. Doesn't want to give this one up. And soon he'll have Valentino Rossi challenging him. But I think Valentino Rossi will be happy as long as he stays near Lorenzo. He knows the championship is going to be his.
Good ride by Jorge Lorenzo, riding the second bike, all sorts of problems, having to start from the back of the grid. But now finding himself up in 5th place. And he's got Tony Elias in his sights as well. Tony Elias having a good ride in 4th spot. But Stoner has just cleared off at the front. We ride with Jorge Lorenzo. Look at those eyes.
Yeah, look how he just looked down onto his panel as well in front of him. And on the brakes, goes through on Nicky Hayden. Makes it look like he's out for a ride in the country, doesn't he? Lorenzo up into 5th after starting from the back of the grid. And under a second now between himself and Elias.
Battle for second place beginning to warm up between the two Repsol Honda riders. That's Danny Pedrosa, and there is Andrea Dovizioso in 3rd place.
Gap between Pedrosa and Dovizioso, 1.1 seconds. On that last lap, Pedrosa was for the first time had taken a minuscule amount, but he'd actually gained something on Stoner in one section. But since then, Stoner's just ploughed on once more. 9.5 seconds the gap.
And I think Rossi's got past Nicky Hayden.
He has done, yeah. So Hayden drops to 7th behind Rossi in 6th now.
So Rossi just keeping Lorenzo in sight. That's all he's got to do.
It's interesting, isn't it? All the factory bikes towards the front end. Tony Elias in 4th. Well, he's supposed to be on a factory bike, but it's in a satellite team. All the rest around, down to Nicky Hayden, all the factory machines. And then obviously, it's 2 Hondas, 2 Ducatis, 2 Hondas and 2 Yamahas.
Poor Nicky Hayden fights back once again against Valentino Rossi. Remember the scrap these two had for the world title 3 years ago.
New fastest lap of the race for Casey Stoner, 2:15.063. The gap at 10.5 seconds. It still looked like from that shot in pit lane that it's still raining, still drizzling down there, Ian.
No, it's actually stopped now, and you can actually see on the start-finish straight that there's a dry line starting to form.
Whoa. It's going to be, there's 15 laps to go. I would imagine they could stay out on wet, but we'll have to wait and see. Jorge Lorenzo's closed right up now on Tony Elias.
In some of those corners, it looks far too wet
to
even consider a change at the moment.
Of course, as soon as said that, it starts raining again.
Yeah, well, I just saw a couple of spots, but from here you can't quite tell. You're not sure whether it's come falling off the top of the stands or anything.
Jorge Lorenzo's riding like a man inspired at the moment, isn't he? His 5th place is closed right up on Tony Elias. Not only closed up on him, he's got past him. Jorge Lorenzo from the back of the grid now up into 4th place.
Good ride this from Lorenzo. Doesn't want to give up the championship, does he? Real disappointment. Probably if he'd have started from the front, he'd be up there challenging with Stoner.
Could well be. We'll never know.
Yeah, Lorenzo's lap times in the 2:16s though, whereas Stoner 2:15, almost dead. Incredible laps.
So will Rossi go through on Tony Elias to keep an eye out on Jorge Lorenzo? May well do. May not find it quite as easy as Jorge Lorenzo did. Oh, blimey. Up the brakes he comes, Valentino Rossi. He is absolutely determined to keep Lorenzo in his sights as soon as he gets past him at turn 9.
Yeah, it's follow my leader kind of stuff, isn't it? Whatever you do, I'm going to do the same. He's just tagged on behind Lorenzo.
Clever stuff by Rossi.
What he'd try and do, knowing Valentino would be complete ignominy, would be to stick behind Jorge and take him on the final lap.
Yep, you wouldn't be surprised. Still a lot of spray out there. I don't think there's going to be any choice for the teams or the riders about coming in to change to dry weather tyres. It's still very, very wet out there indeed. We'd almost forgotten about Casey Stoner. What a return to form by the 24-year-old Australian. If is a big word, but if he'd been fully fit this season, who knows what would have happened. Roll on 2010.
Yeah, that's all we can say, isn't it? He says, not even thinking about that now. It's all about the future. It looks rosy for him at the moment. And let's just have a look at the times. 7 laps down now. 14 to go.
This is Valentino Rossi in 6th place.
Feels longer the race, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say
laps.
it seems a lot longer than that.
I suppose the laps are taking longer, aren't they?
Oh, of course they are. It's a great ride by Jorge Lorenzo, as we said, to start from the back of the grid. He's up into 5th place. Valentino Rossi, 4th place. Valentino Rossi 5th. Tony Elias in 6th. Nicky Hayden 7th. Marco Melandri in 8th. Chris Vermeulen is beginning to fly. He's in 9th place and he's got past his teammate Loris Capirossi. De Angelis in 11th. Calio 12th. Edwards 13th. Alessio Spargo in 14th place. Palmasci in 15th. James Toseland 1 lap down, so is there a major problem for James Toseland? No, he's now gone through in 16th place. Randy De Pune obviously crashed out, but is okay.
Toseland's just is lapping about 5 seconds slower than Stoner, for example. and yeah, just struggling at the back there. He's just set his own best time though.
I'm just down here once again, Livio. We spoke earlier about the tyre choice for this race. You seem to have got it exactly right this time. Was this the plan for Casey to disappear off the front from the start?
We had no plan, and you know how you can plan a gamble like this race. You never know what can happen. Of course, probably he felt confidence at the beginning, and he's pushing and crossing the finger.
Okay, thanks, Livio.
Valentino Rossi's gone through on Jorge Lorenzo into 4th position, exactly where he needs to seal the World Championship, come what may. But with Lorenzo behind him, it doesn't matter where he finishes.
Dovizioso is still closing on Dani Pedrosa in their battle for 2nd place. So that's going to be an interesting race. But Rossi settled down now, hasn't he? Had his problems earlier in the race, but has got it sorted now. Knows what he's got to do. Make no mistakes. Down into turn 15 they come.
Another fastest lap of the race from Casey Stoner, 2:14.548. Great shot of the 2 Fiat Yamaha riders. Oh, big moment for Valentino Rossi as well.
Left foot off the pegs.
Round into turn 13. But Rossi, once he's got in front of Lorenzo, now pushing. Listen to the crowd, they're loving seeing Rossi in front of Lorenzo. Meanwhile, Hayden did get through on Elias there briefly, but Elias takes it back in turn 1. That's aggressive from Nicky Hayden as well, and he reclaims the 6th position from Elias.
Nicky Hayden up into 6 as they come through turn 3 up towards turn 4.
Now it is the top 6. There's 2 Ducatis, 2 factory Hondas and 2 factory Yamahas.
Marco Melandri having a good ride in these conditions on that Hayate Kawasaki. Just got a glimpse of them then behind Tony Elias in 8th place. I'll be interested to look at the progress of Christopher Mullen though. He really is a wet weather expert. He's a little bit down in 9th place. As I say, he's got past though Loris Capirossi, his teammate.
His lap times aren't that much better than, well, they're not better than anyone else in front of him. It's just the people behind him. Tony Elias is the only person he could probably challenge.
Valentino Rossi is sucking the fight, isn't he, out of Jorge Lorenzo. He's rubbing salt into the wound.
Dovizioso is closing on Pedrosa. It's 0.8 the gap between Dani Pedrosa and Andrea Dovizioso, the teammate. I'm sure Dovizioso would like to put one over on Dani Pedrosa.
Absolutely right. As we said, of course, Dovizioso scored his first podium finish here a year ago. Not too happy back in the LCR pit. The main thing is that Randy Depunier is okay after that big crash. And Dovizioso looking very, very quick indeed. Dani Pedrosa could be finishing 3rd once again.
Only the 2nd time that Depunier's crashed during a race this season. So Lucio Cecchinelli will be much happier than normal that his rider is okay. Stoner with another fastest lap, a 2:14.367. Everyone else is gradually improving, but Stoner's lap times are incredible at the moment. Melandri runs it wide in the final corner as he chases down Tony Elias.
What a shame. That was developing a good battle for 6th place between Hayden, Elias and Melandri. Just spread them out a little bit up at turn 1. This is Nicky Hayden. Very aggressive through there a couple of laps ago. And he took over the spot from Tony Elias.
We've hardly seen anything of Stoner, have we?
No.
15 seconds gap between himself and Dani Pedrosa here, who's in 2nd spot. He's being hunted down by his teammate Dovizioso. The lap times of everyone improved on that last one.
There he is.
It must have dried off, come pretty well over the last couple of laps.
2:14.367 for Casey Stoner, fastest lap of the race. He is just disappearing into the spray.
Still pushing hard though, isn't he?
Tremendous stuff by the 24-year-old. So won that opening round in Qatar. And then the illness, reaching the 3 races, came back and finished a 2nd in Estoril in Portugal 3 weeks ago. Then won the race in Australia last week. And he's winning here very, very comfortably indeed.
Look at that, look at the water spraying off. There's no way it's dry enough there, is it, to even contemplate? And look at that, still sliding on the rear as well. That's Hiroshi Yamada, who's the boss of Bridgestone in the paddock, just alongside Livio Supo.
Stoner absolutely in a class of his own this afternoon. Nobody can get near him.
Just felt comfortable, didn't he?
Yeah.
Obviously, as Livio Supo said, just straight away feeling comfortable. And again, another fastest lap of the race so far, a 2:14.299. I can't see it drying before the end of this race. I can't see them now. Can't see there being any point to change tyres.
No, I think you're completely right, Gavin. The teams seem to have accepted that as well. The main start-finish straight is still completely wet. There's no standing water, but it's certainly nowhere near dry enough for a slick tyre.
Yeah, and in, 10 3/4 laps, it's never going to be, even if it does dry with 5 laps to go, the time they'd lose coming into the pits, it's not worth it.
Well, also, they're running the Bridgestone hard wets here as well, which react quite well for running on the dry line.
Yeah. Teams will have a straight race of it.
Dovizioso still closing up on his teammate in their battle for second place, Dani Pedrosa. Rossi still in front of Lorenzo.
They are closing in on Dovizioso. Their lap times are getting closer to Stoner's now, both the Fiat Yamaha bikes. This was the start of the race. Now look at, Pedrosa didn't get a great start there, but look down into turn 1, he does make it past. Stoner didn't get a great start. Just watch him on the right-hand side of the picture, on board with Pedrosa. There's Stoner, look, just going backwards slightly. Hayden, in fact, has passed him at this point, and look how suddenly Pedrosa picks up the pace. Then Rossi goes back in front into turn 1, but runs it wide. Yeah, this is it at the race start, ran it wide there, and lost a lot of positions in there. Comes across, he was close to Hayden and Stoner through there. But now he's fought his way back and into 4th position. He doesn't need to do any better, although he is closing on Dovizioso. Dovizioso has just closed in to within half a second of Pedrosa.
Rossi surely is going to be happy where he is. He'll fight to catch the 2 Repsol Hondas, but this will be enough. Perhaps he will start thinking about that World Championship title now. 10.5 laps to go. Surely Rossi now is going to do it. What a remarkable achievement by the 30-year-old Italian. In 1996, Charles, about 25 miles from where he made his Grand Prix debut. Little did we know what was going to follow in the next 13 years.
His 9th world title. That would put him alongside Mike Hailwood and Carlo Ubbiali in overall world titles. Only Angel Nieto with 12 plus 1, as he likes to call it. And Giacomo Agostini, of course, who's on 15, have more titles than Rossi.
Dani Pedrosa riding as hard as he possibly can to hold Dovizioso at bay.
He seems to be able to do it down in the last corner, really, is where he's making up the time. The gap through the 3rd split was 0.488, and by the finish line was 0.993, so half a second he takes in that section.
This is Andrea Dovizioso, 3rd here last year. First ever podium in the MotoGP class. Could have scored his first ever win in MotoGP at Donington Park in England this year. Dani Pedrosa's 1 win came. Great win it was as well at Laguna Seca in America. We'd like to think these 2 Repsol Hondas will be up there challenging the Ducatis and the Yamahas next season. It could make for a very exciting championship. This man, though, you've got to say, on this present form, is going to take a lot of beating. Casey Stoner, absolutely superb.
Further down the order, Chris Vermeulen is closing in on Marco Melandri. Just a few tenths a lap now, and in turn, Melandri closing in on Elias ahead of him. Nicky Hayden in 6th, he's pulling away from Elias, but he's losing time on Lorenzo. Look at the difference. Look where Stoner is on the track, coming down that back straight, and this is where Rossi is. Still going into turn 12, and flick it right for turn 13. He's still not too far away from Dovizioso, so 3.6 seconds, so he's lapping about 7 tenths quicker than Dovizioso per lap.
10 laps left to go. Well, 9 really left to go as they come down towards turn 15. That could easily be enough for Rossi, perhaps to be challenging even for 2nd place. Braking now, down through the gearbox into turn 15 over those bumps. treading carefully. These conditions still anything but perfect. There's Pedrosa in second place, Dovizioso, Rossi, then Lorenzo.
Pedrosa just set his fastest lap, Dovizioso just set his, and Valentino Rossi has just set the fastest lap of the race so far, a 2:14.070.
Could be a very interesting last 10 laps. Could turn into quite a battle for second place. Valentino Rossi currently running fourth. He's just got a glimpse here of Jorge Lorenzo in fifth place. Stoner has disappeared, but he took the lead from Dani Pedrosa. That first lap, he was gone. Rossi really in the groove now. Got a big mistake by the world champion and the world champion-elect for 2009 at turn one, but since then, really got things together.
Pedrosa and Dovizioso always closing this section here. Let's have a see how Rossi has closed in on Dovizioso as well over the last couple of laps. Taken 2 seconds out of him in laps 10, 11 and 12. Still got some work to do though. Dovizioso is pushing hard, and as it dries a little bit more, Dovizioso's pace will also pick up as he gets comfortable. And Pedrosa's strong. Not in this section so much, more in the final section.
8.5 laps to go here in Sepang. It's the penultimate round of the MotoGP World Championship. Valentino Rossi well on course now to retain that world title. Casey Stoner also well on course to make it 2 Grand Prix in succession, his 4th Grand Prix win of the season.
On board with Dani Pedrosa. Just seeing now his knee is getting to the ground just about, isn't it?
What a great shot. You just get a glimpse there of Andrea Dovizioso behind him, can't you, in the crook of his knee and his lower leg.
Stoner a 2:14.120. His best lap of the race so far, but really it doesn't matter now as long as he keeps churning them out. 17.5 seconds the gap back to Pedrosa. This is where Pedrosa's strong.
He certainly is, isn't he?
So that would be worrying on the last lap for Dovizioso.
There is Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi closing.
Again, another fastest lap from Rossi, so yes, 2.7 the gap between Dovizioso and Rossi. Lorenzo's coming with him, but he's only slightly outside Rossi's lap times.
Nicky Hayden still in 6th place.
There he is at the bottom of the screen. And Elias in 7th. There's Vermeulen going through on Melandri, and he surely will get Elias as well, so could go up into 7th spot.
Yeah, good ride by Chris Vermeulen, starting on the 14th place on the 5th row of the grid.
Nicky Kallio in 10th, De Angelis 11th, Edwards 12th, Caparossi 13th, Espargaro 14th, Talmashi 15th, and Toseland in 16th. He'll be really disappointed. He's 20 seconds down on Gabor Talmashi ahead of him.
This is Colin Edwards, currently running in 13th place. Disappointment for Colin Edwards. We ride with him. He seemed to be quite happy that the rain had come down. But certainly they seem to be having problems. It was a gamble setting up the bikes right with no wet weather practice or qualifying. So never going to be easy for them. Kallio in 10th spot, De Angelis behind him. But this is the battle now between Tony Elias, who's 7th, Chris Vermeulen, who's 8th, and this Vermeulen is putting in the quicker laps of the two. They're easy to get past Tony Elias, but Vermeulen, you would imagine, will get there. Nicky Hayden still in 6th.
Yeah, he's about 8 seconds behind Lorenzo, but 5 seconds clear of Elias. It spreads out in that mid-pack. This is Jorge Lorenzo ahead of him in 5th. And he's chasing down Valentino Rossi, and now Dovizioso is right on Pedrosa's tail, but Pedrosa, it seems, down the straights, has a bike that's much, much quicker, or much effective at being quicker than Andrea Dovizioso. Look at how much he pulls on him on the straight.
Is he better on the brakes when they go into turn 15? No, I don't know.
To do with the weight as well.
Yeah.
Maybe Pedrosa's got a machine that could have been how it's set up as well, the bike.
Safely through turn 15, 7 laps to go for the Honda pair. Dani Pedrosa still in 2nd place. Andrea Dovizioso is chased and chased and chased, but he's never close enough to make any sort of mark.
Another fastest lap of the race for Valentino Rossi.
And the man in 4th place is closing on them all the time.
2:13.694, the first man under the 2:14 barrier, Valentino Rossi.
Well, he's broken Jorge Lorenzo, hasn't he? Lorenzo in 5th place, having to start from the back row of the grid, made meteoric progress through the field, but now he's in 5th place, and one would imagine that's probably where he's going to remain. It's just really if Rossi can catch the 2 Hondas in front of him.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine him winning the world title and not winning the race. It's not very, or not winning, or not being on the podium at least.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
We ride with Valentino Rossi. This is down through turn 5. Now 6. This is the right-hander.
Oh, and there's a crasher, and it's Dovizioso who was in 3rd. So Rossi does go up to the podium. Andrea Dovizioso's crash as he followed Dani Pedrosa showed anything can still happen. And down he goes in the left-hander, turn 5. Yeah, it is turn 5, and the way it just goes from Dovizioso. When he crashes, so Rossi up to 3rd, Lorenzo up to 4th, Hayden up to 5th, and so on.
Yeah, the back end comes round for Andrea Dovizioso. It's still slippery out there as he's just found out. Disappointment in one half of the garage. I'm sure they won't be pleased in the other half either. But Dani Pedrosa now in 2nd place. And Valentino Rossi closing down. Oh, who's this?
Casey Stoner out by himself in the lead. Just a warning, isn't it? That the tyres and everything, not all as easy as it may look out there. They're travelling incredible speed still down the straights. Tony Elias has recorded 300 kilometres an hour down the end of the straight. They're still braking from there so much earlier and going so fast around the corners in the wet.
Valentino Rossi's up into 3rd place now. He will be on the podium.
Vermeulen's through on Elias into 6th.
Nicky Hayden still 6th. Jorge Lorenzo 5th.
Listen to the fans cheer as well as they see Rossi come across and on the podium.
David Jones has done a good job in 2nd place, hasn't he? He probably caused Dovizioso to crash by the way he rode in front of him. Can he fight off Valentino Rossi? That's another story, but he's ridden a very good race, Dani Pedrosa.
Very similar lap times on that last one. They could see to 13.7 for the pair of them, just 30 hundredths or 300ths of a second, should I say, between Pedrosa and Rossi on that last lap. And it's Pedrosa making up time on the straight.
Through turn 5 towards 6, here's Valentino Rossi in 3rd place. This will be enough. Will he be thinking about the world title? I don't think so. He'll just be thinking about perhaps catching Dani Pedrosa in front of him. But he is going to be crowned the 2009 world champion if these results remain the same. Really, the only thing now to stop Rossi winning the title would be a crash or a mechanical problem.
Yeah, a crash. If he crashed, Lorenzo will go up into 3rd, and the gap will be down to 22 points. And that will mean it will go down to Valencia. So that's the only thing that will prevent him now from becoming world champion for the 7th time in MotoGP.
Just a bit, not a moment there for Valentino. As you said, crash, the bike just went a little bit. I was thinking, you're right, Dovizioso's crash is a warning to them all, isn't it? Just, it's still wet out there, but Rossi's absolutely in the groove now after a difficult couple of opening laps.
Stoner's just eased off slightly. Look at the sun coming down onto the track now as he comes out of that final corner. Yeah, Stoner just eased off. He's dropped about half a second over the last couple of laps, but he's got a margin of 17 seconds, so he does exactly the right thing.
Deserves to, really, doesn't he?
It's because he pushed so hard in the early part of the race. That's why he's got that comfortable margin, why he can relax, in inverted commas.
That's the board telling him he's in 3rd place, and Jorge Lorenzo is behind him by not 6/10 of a second, a little bit more than that.
Yeah, nearly 4 seconds.
That's right. It said 3.3, I think, on the board, but it is more than that. Here is Lorenzo. He's going to have the settle for 4th place. A brave ride by him as well, because he had to start from the back of the grid. Chris Vermeulen. Great farewell to MotoGP for at least 2 years by Chris Vermeulen. He's now up into 6th place on that Suzuki. There's Tony Elias in 7th place. We ride with Vermeulen. He's a teammate, Loris Capirossi, who started from the front row, 2nd row and made such a great start. Now down in 11th place.
Aleix Espargaro got in front of Colin Edwards on that last lap, and Espargaro up into 12th. It's Stoner on the factory Ducati, who's led them from the first lap. He's taken the fight to the rest, and no one can match him today. Okay, Rossi and Lorenzo's lap times have got near him in the latter stages, but in the early part, when it was the really treacherous, really difficult conditions, he hasn't put a foot wrong, but he's still got 4.5 laps to negotiate. We've just come down into this turn 14. Let's go into the back straight, and there's Dovizioso.
Perfectly okay, as you can see. He was in third place, pushing hard against his teammate Danny Pedrosa. Down he went. He is okay.
Here was the crash in turn 5, and it just went away from him, didn't it? Not too much warning for him. Bike just slipping away. Stoner focused, head tucked under the bubble down the straight. 17 seconds, the gap back to Pedrosa.
4 laps to go for the 24-year-old Australian. This will be his 4th Grand Prix victory of the season. He won in Qatar, he won in Mugello. Of course, he then came and went away for those 3 Grand Prix, came back second in Estoril, won the race in Phillip Island a week ago, back to winning ways. Rossi closing on Danny Pedrosa, but is he close enough? And with so much at stake, surely he's not going to take any risks.
Nicky Hayden in 5th position, and then it's Chris Vermeulen in 6th, down to 3.7 seconds the gap, but Hayden should have enough margin there. Elias in 7th, Melandri in 8th across the line. Well, we asked for some drama today, didn't we? We've certainly got some kind of drama. This is the battle for 10th. Kallio, De Angelis, Caparossi, and Espargaro's just getting into the picture as well. And they'll battle for 9th spot, in the race.
Another good ride by Aleix Espargaro, and his 3rd ride on the MotoGP machine. He could be a really big threat next year. Well, this could be the 2009 world champion in action. 3.5 laps to go for Valentino Rossi. He's currently lying in 3rd place. There's the man in front of him, Danny Pedrosa. Casey Stoner's just cleared off at the front. Nobody's going to catch him. And I just get the feeling Rossi said, okay, 3rd place will be enough. I'm on the podium.
Well, he's still closing in, as you can see by those lap times. Closed in by 7/10 of a second over the last 3 laps, but it might not be enough because Pedrosa also is just pulling a little bit again.
Yeah, he's just pulled a 2/10 up. This will be an interesting split, won't it? It's pretty much the same, and a 1/10 of a second in advantage of Pedrosa. Rossi now knows the fan club will be somewhere out there on the circuit, won't there? Celebrations will be planned, there is no doubt. Mustn't take anything away, though, from the fantastic ride by Casey Stoner at the front.
2 in a week from him. 3 laps to go for Stoner to claim his 4th victory of the year. Still, the top 4 in the championship are the top 4 in the race. It's got to mean something, hasn't it?
It has. It's Danny Pedrosa. He's currently lying 4th in the championship, but he's not going to have a lot of chance of catching Casey Stoner in 3rd place, pulling another 5 points behind him. Valentino Rossi in 3rd place. Should be crowned world champion in about 6-7 minutes' time. What a great shot. Shadow of the bike, does that mean there's a little bit of sunshine out there?
Well, we saw it, didn't we? Going down the straight, there was
still a lot of spray. That left foot going out. Rossi at his best. So to play second fiddle today, though, to Casey Stoner and probably Danny Pedrosa. But overall, he is going to be crowned the world champion. Kuzawa just looks on, just waits, doesn't he? Pedrosa has ridden very well in 2nd place. Fought off the challenge of Dovizioso now. I think probably going to fight off the challenge of Valentino Rossi. 2.5 laps to go. He is closing all the time. But the hairpin, you just get a glimpse there of Lorenzo. Yep, the sun is now coming out. And it's shining on this man, the 30-year-old Italian. So close now to retaining that MotoGP world title.
Yeah, the gap between Pedrosa and Rossi at 2 seconds. So Pedrosa may break that run of consecutive third-place finishes. He's had 3 in a row. Would have been a record if he'd had a 4th third place in a row. Something which I don't suppose he'd be shouting about from the rooftops. But it'll be a 2nd place finish for him ahead of Rossi. But the most important thing that will come out today is Valentino Rossi winning the World Championship. Further down the order, Alex De Angelis attacking. Loris Capirossi has got back through on him though, hasn't he? Into 10th.
That's Mika Kallio in front of them in 9th place. That's Ingrid, Loris Capirossi's wife, looking on at her husband's efforts in the rain. Pedrosa crosses the line, 2 laps to go.
Still Stoner's lap time, still quick. Still 16.7 seconds between himself and Pedrosa.
Valentino Rossi, this is where he made the mistake on the very first lap. Could have cost him dear.
And Capirossi and De Angelis both through on Kallio. It's Capirossi up into 9th now.
We ride with Casey Stoner. Enjoy the sunshine, Casey. You deserve it. Through turn 5, Casey Stoner up to 6. A double apex, 7 and 8. And up towards the slowest bend at the circuit. This is Danny Pedrosa. Let's see if we can get a glimpse there. Oh, Valentino Rossi anywhere.
Not quite. On board now with Rossi through the 2nd of that double apex right-hander. Heading down towards turn 9, the gap at 2.4 seconds, nearly 2.5 seconds now. So he's happy with 3rd. That's what he's going to take. And with it, he will take the World Championship 2009. Danny Pedrosa on the podium yet again.
Yeah, be happy to be out of 3rd place, when as you said, up into 2nd.
His 10th podium of the year, and only 1 victory.
Laguna Seca in America, where he rode quite brilliantly. He's ridden well here, though. Quite simply, Casey Stoner is in a class of his own this afternoon, isn't he? All the headlines will be about Valentino Rossi winning the world title, but Stoner has been superb.
Sensational performance, isn't it? 1 more lap to go then for the Australian to take his 4th win of the year, number 27. Had those couple of months away. 3 races he missed. Came back with a bang, podium in Estoril, and he won his home Grand Prix a week ago, and looks set to win another one in the space of 7 days. And there you can see the crew and friends of Valentino Rossi just watch on intently on the screens. Their man is 5.5 kilometers away from his 9th world title and his 7th in MotoGP.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago. The Italian teenager made his 13 years ago, the Italian teenager made his Grand Prix debut here at, not at Sepang, but in Malaysia at Shah Alam in the centre of Kuala Lumpur on a 125cc Aprilia. 13 and a half years later, he's on course for his 9th world title. There's Danny Pedrosa, here is Valentino Rossi. And 10 years almost to the day that he won that 250cc crown at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. What else can you say about him, Gavin? He is probably the greatest motorcycle racer the world has ever seen.
Yeah, manages to do it on all sorts of machines, all sorts of conditions as well. Many different rivals over the years. He still sticks his head above the parapet and still continues to lead the way. There's challenges though. We've seen it this year from Jorge Lorenzo. We've seen it last year from Casey Stoner. Stoner won the title in 2007, of course. We've seen it from Nicky Hayden. We've seen it from Danny Pedrosa as well. The challenges are there.
And here is one of the main ones. Casey Stoner through turn 15 for the very last time. Casey Stoner lines up the Ducati as Ducati prepare to celebrate the World Championship. Casey Stoner wins here in Malaysia, his 4th Grand Prix victory of the season for Ducati. Get ready now for Rossi to arrive.
First of all, there will be Danny Pedrosa. He'll come across the line and take 2nd position, but it's a huge wheelie as Valentino Rossi becomes the world champion 2009, his 7th MotoGP crown and his 9th world title overall. Delight for him and for Fiat Yamaha.
Jorge Lorenzo, what a brave performance by him. Starting from the back row of the grid, he finishes 4th.
So MotoGP world champion Valentino Rossi seals it with a 3rd place finish. Does all he needs to do, gives the bike a kiss as well, as he likes to do. And around in turn 2, what celebration will he have lined up for us this time in Malaysia? Has a look around at the camera, he knows that the camera's on him, he knows it.
Not been the easiest afternoons for Valentino Rossi. Rain before the start of the race, led into turn 1, then ran it wide, and there's Casey Stoner says, you've won the title, well done.
Big thumbs
Great
up.
stuff from Casey Stoner, who absolutely dominated the race here today.
Here comes Lorenzo as well, and I'm sure from Lorenzo as well it will be much the same thing. A big hearty pat on the back, no doubt, because there is healthy respect between the two of them. There's been tense moments and those kinds of things. Here he comes. Lorenzo shakes the hand of Valentino Rossi. Great sportsmanship from all in MotoGP, and he moves out of the way so Rossi can go and enjoy his celebrations. Lynn Jarvis and Masao Furuzawa from Yamaha celebrate victory in the World Championship yet again.
I think they're just going to let Valentino Rossi get on with it now, don't you?
Well, here we go. Oh, it's a little chicken in full Rossi kit.
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, he dressed up as the chicken all those years ago, didn't he? Or he took his mate round dressed up as the chicken. Now let's have a look.
That's the fan club. Celebrate with him. Let's have a look what it says. The marshals trying to get in on the act as well. There's Rino Salucci on the left. That's Ucho's father. He's the president of the Valentino Rossi fan club.
Something's going to happen now. T-shirt going on.
Let's have a look. It says, all right. It says that he's an old hen now. And here comes the chicken as well.
He's got a big egg
What
there
came
as well.
first, the chicken, the egg, or Valentino Rossi? I'm not so sure.
Meanwhile, back in Park Ferme.
No, Valentino Rossi, he rules the roost once more in MotoGP. Another season, another title for Valentino Rossi. Excellent stuff.
Funny old race, wasn't it? The rain really scuppered.
Well, it delayed his championship celebrations by half an hour at least.
Yeah. And then a big mistake by a mistake by Valentino Rossi up at turn 1, but he fought his way back. And he's won his 9th world title. A 30-year-old Italian, totally dominated Grand Prix racing for the last 10 years. 250cc world champion, 125cc world champion, 500cc world champion, MotoGP world champion both for Honda and Yamaha.
On 2 strokes and
4 strokes. And another year to run on his Yamaha contract. But I think we've seen today he is in for a very, very tough ride next year. Casey Stoner is back to his very, very best.
But he's had a tough ride this year, and he's come through it again. Jorge Lorenzo has run him close, and I don't think he's won a title when it's come down this close with 2 rounds to go. When he's won before, it's been a lot earlier, but this time he's been run a lot closer. Casey Stoner can be delighted. He's won the race here today. A couple of moments I think he's talking about during the race, but he's obviously very happy. You don't see him celebrate too much, the camera and that kind of thing.
So no, you don't.
Since he's come back from his illness, he's come back, and he's come back in fine form, in a great shape. Danny Pedrosa, he's happy as well with second place. Breaks that run of thirds, doesn't it?
Yeah, he rode very well, Danny Pedrosa. Against Valentino Rossi on his way back. Chicken safe and sound.
A new helmet as well for Rossi as he comes round to celebrate. And the fans will love that as well. Okay, it's unfortunately not been a classic race. There's been some intrigue in it though. It's definite.
Yeah, I think the weather put pay to a great race, and the performance by Casey Stoner, who was superb. At 2.86 is Valentino Rossi's points tally. 2.45 for Jorge Lorenzo. He cannot catch him in that final round in Valencia. 2.20 now for Casey Stoner in third place. 2.09, so 11 points adrift for Danny Pedrosa. Colin Edwards closes up a little bit on Andre Dovizioso in their battle for 5th place, but
yeah, not enough because
no, he could have done so much better today with Dovizioso crashing out of the race.
Yeah, unfortunately Edwards ended in 13th position in the race, so only picked up 3 points. He could have been ahead of him, and unfortunately Dovizioso crashed out. That will go down to the wire in Valencia, of course. Further down the order, Hayden was 5th, Vermeulen 6th, Elias 7th, Melandri in 8th, Caparossi in 9th, Callio in 10th, Espargaro ahead of De Angelis in 11th, De Angelis 12th, Edwards 13th, Talmashi 14th, and Tosland in 15th and last.
And Dovizioso and Randy Depudier crashing out in separate incidents. The world champion returns, and the crowd are here to celebrate with him. Nearly 60,000 people here at Sepang.
What a crowd
this afternoon. That is a fantastic crowd. And this is the man that has drawn them in.
Number 46, Valentino Rossi. Don't think there's any chance of that number not being retired once he goes as well. Synonymous with success, isn't it? All the teams stand on the wall, Alex, Brent, Bernie as well. And that's a very touching moment there between Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi. A good shake of the hands. Been tension, been a wall down the middle of the garage. But it's Rossi who's going to come home, and he's sealed the World Championship. Adds a 9th egg to his brood.
Great team around him. This is more the Italian celebration now than the Australian celebration, was it? Now, once the bike's been returned. He's in tears, isn't he? His great friend, Davide Brivio, team manager of Valentino Rossi's part of the Yamaha garage.
You just asked him, what about the first braking manoeuvre? What about that in turn one? What happened there? He probably just trying to push it that little bit too much once Pedrosa got in front of him. It took a while for him to get into the groove of things, didn't it? And once he did, he set the fastest lap of the race.
I'm just down here in Parc Permery, Danny Pedrosa. Difficult conditions today, Danny, but you must be happy with second.
Yes, I'm happy because it's my first podium in wet after so many years. Finally, I get a podium in wet, so very happy, and then thanks to my team.
You're going to be hoping for wet weather at Valencia now?
I hope dry.
Thanks, Danny.
Danny Pedrosa, very good second place by Danny Pedrosa. Fought off Andre Dovizioso and fought off this man. Valentino Rossi, the 2009 MotoGP World Champion.
We talked about it back then in Catalonia, didn't we? That was possibly the moment of the season. It could well be the moment that sealed it. Jorge Lorenzo looks happy enough, doesn't he?
He rode. He says hello to himself on the television.
Next time out, he says.
Yeah, great ride by Jorge Lorenzo. Having to start from the back of the grid. Quite what the problems were, where we will find out.
And I'm just down here in Parc Ferme again with race winner Casey Stoner. 2 races in a row, Casey, and that was an absolute masterclass out there in the wet today.
No, I couldn't be happier. I mean, this whole weekend's going pretty well for us, and since we come back at Portugal, I've just been feeling stronger and stronger on the bike. And, you know, the fitness level this weekend, I was so happy with. You know, we were doing the practice sessions without any drama, and we knew even in the wet race it's going to be a bit difficult. But the fact that we hadn't even tested in the wet was the most difficult part. We all had the same conditions, and I was able to, you know, get a good feeling quite early on and pull a gap. So from there, we just built on it, tried to get as much of a gap as I could just to sit on and be comfortable with. And then just tried to keep the pace at one lap time, so I wasn't losing any but gaining any.
Well, congratulations today, Casey. It was a joy to watch.
Certainly was a joy to watch. Absolute masterclass. Perfect description from Ian Wheeler there, talking to Casey Stoner. Hey, you just think about next year, Jorge Lorenzo, Casey Stoner. I think Danny Pedrosa with Honda coming stronger against the world champion Valentino Rossi. It could be one hell of a season. It started off like that this season, didn't it?
Well, some people have called them aliens. The 4 riders at the front of MotoGP. And again, today it was all about those 4 at the front of MotoGP. A fantastic event which was delayed just a little bit at the start, but finally it got underway in the wet conditions. '09 world champion then, Valentino Rossi. Finishes in 3rd position in the race, but that didn't matter. Still seals it with 1 round remaining in Valencia.
Just listen to the reception the riders are getting. And I think that is probably Valentino Rossi that's getting the reception. Tell you, Casey Stoner, Danny Pedrosa deserve it in equal size and volume. Because in those conditions, both of them rode quite brilliantly. That is a superb crowd here in Malaysia, 60,000 people. You've got to say, the Valentino Rossi factor has a lot to do with it, doesn't he?
Oh, definitely.
13 years ago, he made his Grand Prix debut at Shah Alam. Well, it's 13 and a half years ago in the 125cc class.
There comes, look, Jorge Lorenzo just come down to Parc Ferme. And a good congratulations there from Lorenzo. It's a really nice touch from him, isn't it?
See if we can grab a quick word with Jorge. Oh, he's disappeared off again. No, he's back here now. No, he's gone.
Been that sort of day, Ian, hasn't it, actually? Well, there's the egg.
Oh, no, I think I'm going to get a chance to speak to him.
Well, they're just trying to sort out taking Valentino Rossi up to the podium now. And there's Camillo Espeleta, CEO of Dorna, of course. Just congratulating Valentino Rossi after that championship victory. Race director as well, Paul Butler, was in there.
Already saying to him, 2011, can you just carry on a little bit longer, please?
Well, you never know.
No, you don't.
All sorts of rumours this weekend.
Golly, absolutely.
Ducati, those kinds of things.
Ducati rally driving.
Right, I'm down here now with Jorge Lorenzo. Jorge, not the start you wanted today, but that was a fantastic race all the same.
Yeah, fantastic race for me because I started from the last position of the grid, so I have to overtake a lot of riders to be on the top. At the beginning I felt great on the bike, but in a few laps at the middle of the race I felt with no grip on the rear and I was sliding so much. But I want to congratulate Valentino Rossi because this year they beat us and he's just the winner.
And next year you beat him?
I don't know, maybe.
Thanks, Jorge.
Well done, Jorge Lorenzo. Graceful in defeat, but I think it's going to be an unbelievable 2010. Casey Stoner still very, very hot, but there's no doubt about his fitness. There's no doubt about his stamina. He's been back for 3 races, second in 1, and he's won the last 2. Rossi Pedrosa sharing a joke. He's still got the egg in the
just
helmet.
explaining the thing to him about what it means, and it's something to do with that. I think it's about eating some kind of broth or soup or something like that.
Well, no doubt we're going to find out in the next half an hour.
Exactly. I'm sure he'll explain it to us.
Yeah. So here we are. Here's the podium.
MotoGP.
Danny Pedrosa, Casey Stoner, and 3rd place Valentino Rossi, who of course has now or will be crowned the 2009 MotoGP World Champion.
I've just been informed by an Italian colleague that the oldest chickens make the best soup. And apparently that's what it's all about.
Right.
Oh, he's multinational, Valentino Rossi. He's got that in small print on the bottom.
Has he?
Old hens make best broth.
Oh, there we
There
are.
we go. He's going to get quite a cheer for finishing 3rd.
And look who's taking the award for Ducati. It's Vito Goreski.
Oh, don't go down that road, please. Danny Pedrosa in 2nd place. Really good ride by Danny Pedrosa. But he's back, and he's back to his very best. 2nd in Estoril, 1st in Phillip Island, and 1st here at Sepang in Malaysia. Casey Stoner wins his 4th Grand Prix of the season. And what a presentation is going to be made to him. The King of Malaysia to the King of MotoGP here in Malaysia, Casey Stoner.
And the King of MotoGP all round there as well with Valentino Rossi. That's a real honour, isn't it? The King of Malaysia to present the award. And Vittoriano Guareschi takes the trophy for Ducati. He's the man who does all the testing behind the scenes on the Desmosedici, and talks he may move into team management for Ducati in the next season. But first we'll get the Australian national anthem.
Well done, Casey Stoner. Ian Wheeler described it as a masterclass. It was a masterclass for all to see in the wet conditions. I think they've taken the king around the back now. They don't want him to get soaked in champagne, do they?
No,
Because it is going to fly any moment now.
Oh, there go the champagne bottles, almost taking out Vito Guarreschi.
He was a bit surprised there, wasn't he?
And the riders on the podium, well, both Casey Stoner and Danny Pedrosa giving Valentino Rossi a good soaking. He deserves it. He's already had one in the race. Now he gets one up on the podium with champagne, and that'll be just what he wants.
Party tonight, you think?
No, he's got a ticket back tonight. He won't change that at all, will he? And Casey Stoner continues to give him a soaking.
Wherever you go in the world, the cry of Valley rings out around a MotoGP circuit. But don't forget Casey Stoner, don't forget Danny Pedrosa. But overall, after 16 rounds of the championship, Valentino Rossi is the king.
It's been a delayed day. It's been a great day, though, all in all, hasn't it?
Brilliant day, hasn't it?
125s and 250s, fantastic racing. Not necessarily the racing here, but the atmosphere, the intrigue, the excitement as well, and the joy for Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, the rain always made it a difficult race, wasn't it, to be close and so exciting, but so much intrigue. The oldest hens make the best broth, is that right? I'm going to remember that.
You need to remember
I'm
it.
going to say, yeah, hey, perhaps I get one of those T-shirts.